So why it actually crashes? Why softwares are not performing well? The first reason is that since I have mentioned that it's unable to communicate because the customer is trying to transfer its own requirement to the analyst, and if the analysts are not very good in capturing the user's requirement, possibly it end up with something which is not satisfying the user requirement. Okay, so that's why we call it as a fail to meet the user requirements. Okay, and that actually leads to the different bugs or crashes over there. And since software is very expensive, okay, software is very expensive. Why? Because it needs human interventions. It cannot be automatic. That's why more and more people to be involved over there, and lot of situations may arise. Say suppose they have recruited few people, the people was working, and then suddenly two or three people they leave that job and join somewhere else. It's a very frequent kind of activities in industry. Now what happens? That the whole pipeline of that project is going to be hampered if two already working developers they leave that particular project. Then what happens? They need to recruit two different people over there, and that two people, new people will have to understand what is actually happening over there. Then, as a whole, what happens? The overall, uh, speed of the software development is going to be drastically being obstructed, and as a result, what happens? The cost of the software increases because more time increases means more salaries to be paid to the developers, and the cost of the software will go high from there. Okay, and since if it is very poorly developed software, if the softwares are not well written software, they are not following any good principles like less documentation. If they do it, possibly in future it would be very difficult to change, do the corrections or debug, and if they need some enhancement, possibly it will not going to happen. Because if you don't follow these principles, if the company, that's why company are very rigid and strict in those kind of things. Like they are not going to allow you to do your own way to write a code and all. They have their own style of doing these things. You have to follow that because they are very much aware that one day we are working into that, and you made such a complex kind of a coding, then it is not going to be understandable by the other people. Then once you leave that job at any time you may leave, then the new people will not going to be understand. New people are going will not able to understand what you have written. So that's why they try to force you to write it in a particular way to debug, that will actually help in debugging, enhancing, or altering the code. Okay, and as I mentioned that due to different kind of things, issues, maybe some technical issues, maybe manpower issues, the delivery date that actually happening, it's going crossing, because always when there is an agreement happens between customer and company, they normally give a kind of a delivery that if by that time we're going to deliver, because as early as possible if you can deliver, the cost will not go high for that. So that means more profit will going to be earned by the software company. But if because of different reasons, if it crosses the delivered deadline, so it actually incurs more and more additional costs to the software, and ultimately leads to some kind of loss of these things. So a lot of issues which are there, and then something which is related to your hardware resources also. If whatever resources are there, if you are not using properly, if your coding is not good, possibly you have developed a software which is taking very large time, it's taking much space, which can be done very easily with some limited space requirement. So that also leads to some kind of software crashing. So time to time there are software crashes which is happening, um, and because of which people don't use that software with time to time. There are so many softwares there in the industry that there is no use of those software nowadays. Okay, because of these different errors. Now you see what is happening actually. Uh, I mean, if you compare the hardware cost in comparison to, I mean, your software cost, what actually happens basically, the day by day hardware costs are going down, and day by day software costs are going high. Okay, because the why? Because softwares are basic, hardwares are basically done automatically by automatic machines and all. Very less human intervention is required. So that's why more and more powerful the software hardware become, and even at the same time they also become low cost day by day. But the software cost is going high because the requirement is also going up. Then the manpower costs are also going up, and as a result, more time is required to develop a software. It crashes. It needs much more debugging and all. It much more maintenance is necessary. As a whole, software costs are going high. So if you take the ratio between hardware cost and software cost, you see that how it is actually happening over there. So I mean, with the passage of time, this is basically the ratio is actually very abnormal. Software cost is going high and hardware cost going down. So why? What is the reason for doing this thing? Software crashes, as I mentioned, large problem, complex problems. Okay, nowadays the no more very simple problem. If someone asks you to develop a software, you're going to have a very good user interface so that it can be easily usable by the user. It should be desktop compatible. It should be smartphone compatible. Lot of issues which are there. You see in our Sikkim University website. It's poorly developed. Why it is poorly developed? You see the screen that you're going to see in a desktop screen. The same screen you possibly are not going to get it in a mobile, because they never thought of the mobile compatibility while developing that thing. You're not going to see the menu. Whatever you can see the top menu in Sikkim University website in desktop mode. The same thing you're not going to see in it's somewhere because of the wrong development programming. You're not going to see the top menu in mobile view. So these are the things which is there, because problems are day by day increasing. People are not very much well trained, neither they are thinking or testing these things very proper way. So that is why the softwares are not working properly. So larger problems invites more complexity. More complexity means more difficult, more number of programming lines. More number of programming lines means more what is called the more deep, bugs that are going to be incorporated, and as a whole, it creates a lot of issues. Okay, and since most of the developers they follow thumb rules, as I mentioned, they don't follow a systematic approach. That's why if you go for developing a software with the help of a small company, and a software that you are going to develop with the help of a large company, there may be very cost differences are there, because small companies they take very less time because they are not systematic. They have a very less developers. These developers are not well trained or neither experienced. That's why they can keep less salary, and that's why the cost of the software may be less. But software cannot be judged with like the other product. If you can purchase a product from Amazon with a low cost, and if you can go to the store, it may be higher. So normally you can go and purchase it from the online naturally, so no effect. But in software you cannot do these things. You cannot compromise with the quality. What is important is the quality. How the quality will going to come if the software engineering the software development company is a very big company, and if they follow very systematic approach to do that thing, so possibly your software is going to work very effectively in future. So that's why if it's a small company, they don't have very much knowledge, and that's why it fails. Okay, so naturally there is a lot of skilled people scarcity is available even in the industry, because industry are always looking for skilled person. Where from you are passing out, it hardly matters from them. But whether you have a skill or not, that is most important for them. Okay, if you may pass out from a very good reputed institute, but you do not have the skill, they don't give any value. If they recruit also, after a few days they'll ask you to just go leave their company and join someone else, because they don't keep you just for the sake of they have recruited you, and they're not going to pay some salary, because if you are not useful to them, they're going to throw you out. Okay, so that's why these are also related to the crisis related low productivity improvements. People don't want to develop themselves, whatever they are, they want to stick it with that particular stages only. And as a result, productivity also goes down, and they never incorporate new knowledges into their development process, and that also leads to the software crisis. Okay, so for since it's a fast day, because I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, because we have very less time, but definitely we'll go as fast as possible, because it's a theoretical paper. I don't think you will going to face any difficulties. But only thing is that, like, if you face any difficulties, then we're going to interact, and we're going to try to discuss these things. So till the whatever we have discussed, is there any query? Is there any query?
No, sir.
No, no query.
Sir,
Okay, so how many of you have joined today? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Okay, so next class I'm planning to take Thursday from 11 to 1 during your DBMS lab. Okay,
Okay, sir.
so the same link. Okay, the same link we're going to join. Okay,
Sir, from 11 to 1, sir.
yeah, from during your DBMS lab,
Okay, sir.
the 11 to 1. Okay, no, I mean Pinju was going and coming, so Pinju is also present. ठीक है चलो see you Thursday.
thank you, sir.